All right. Welcome back to Let's Unpack the Sis. I'm Sasha.
And I'm Sierra. Last week we talked about self-care. Is it self-care? Is it selfish taking care of yourself?
That's right.
So kind of the way that it says in our notes, it says kind of like giving ourselves permission to change. I don't think that that's really what we talked about. It's more giving ourselves room to breathe. But today we're talking about, can other people change?
Yeah. Is change real, or do people get better at hiding parts that we don't like? What do you think?
I say short answer, yes, people can change. Short answer.
I mean, I can't wait to get into this because holy cow, there's so many different ways you could look at that. Like as a parent, like, can your kids' behavior change? We're forming these little people. Can I change? Do I like certain parts of myself? If I don't, can I ever change that? And also, can you change the way that somebody thinks about you? Like,
Oh,
maybe,
that's a good one.
I don't know. We'll see. What
Oh,
are you
this
guys
is gonna
making
get
for
deep. Like, you just triggered so many things in my brain.
I know, right? What's for dinner tonight?
Ooh, I have no idea what's for dinner, but for my meal prep, we're doing Korean beef bowls.
Oh, yum. Will you send that one to me?
Sure will.
I'm in a
Check
rut.
it out on my social.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Mayhem, muscles, and marcas, please. Sierra is going viral, you guys, so make sure you check her out.
Only the teacher stuff, though. It's fine.
Doesn't
I got
matter.
teacher tips.
Oh, I thought you said teacher tits.
I don't got those, unfortunately. The nip,
um,
the nip. Sasha's got the nip now, and when I was
mhm.
breastfeeding,
All the breastfeeding. It's been
no
really
teacher
fun.
tits here.
Darn, that's okay. I'm having
What are
a
you doing
really
for
hard
dinner?
time. Oh, we're doing like a chicken Alfredo and broccoli. But I'm having a really hard time. Cole and I were trying to do grocery lists for Costco and like make meal plans for the week, and I am just burnt out. And I feel like I go through this like once a month or something like that, where I'm just like, I don't know. And I think it's because these kids don't eat anything. Like they
Okay,
do, but
best hack
nothing.
I've ever done.
Tell me.
Best hack. And I mean, find it on my socials, but ask your kids what they like to eat and then use ChatGPT to use what you already have and what your kids like. And that's why Jack is so invested in our weekly meal prep, because I said, what do you
Yeah.
like to eat? And Jack's favorite thing to eat is burgers. Billy's favorite thing is mac and cheese. They like pizza. They like the party foods. But then I say, ChatGPT, this is what my kids will eat, but please make it high protein and make it a little healthier. And one, my kids eat every meal. And two, we're using this stuff in my fridge. So my grocery list is less. But it is a hack. I know how people are against AI, but use it when you're burnt out.
Sounds good. I like that actually. Um one of my girlfriends, she did the same thing with her kids pre-AI. Just like they have a cookbook and she would have
Yeah.
them like go through and like pick stuff so that they were invested in like helping make the menu. So I could do that.
Yeah. I think I've always wanted to do that. Like I bought one of those like boxes with index cards and I wanted to like write down like winners of
Yeah.
like what my kids like. But I don't have time. ChatGPT just keeps it all in a scroll. And and I can find it
Just for
later.
one bottle of water per recipe.
That's all I got is water. What can I feed my kids?
um
Uh,
I do that. I write down recipes that I want to remember because I don't want to go back like and figure out what website I got them from. But so we have some good ones in there.
that's good.
All right. Well, let's get
Gosh,
into
that's
it
better.
today.
All right, let's move into our first segment of defining what we're going to be talking about. So, what do we mean when we say that people don't change? So, before we even decide if people change or they don't, what do we
Mhm.
mean when we say that?
Well, and then that's, I think,
Do you want to start off?
what we were just talking about is, like, it's our perception of somebody else. So whether they change or not maybe is we don't really ever know. We just know our perception of them. But I think we think that we can psychoanalyze them and be like, label them changed or unchanged.
Yeah. Yeah, and people cling to the idea that they'll never change because of like it's safety, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes there are people in my life that I feel like won't change, and I think that a lot of that comes from like I don't trust, or like
Mm-hmm.
if I believe that they do change and then I get hurt again, I'm not safe. And so a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the like they don't change comes from protecting yourself.
Yeah. Or
Um
the opposite of like somebody hurt you and then you're like, they're never going to change. That's just the way they are.
yeah.
And then they go on and
Yeah.
maybe they change and you're like, "Wait, what? You weren't supposed to change?" Especially the, like,
But
classic,
I think a
like,
lot
all
of
the
change
country
and I think
songs.
something yes.
Like a country song of, like, what is it that they, I'll change that. I could fix them. I could fix them. I'll fix them, you
Oh,
know?
yeah. Well, that okay. So then that's the difference between, and we'll talk about that too, because that comes up too. But changing versus maturing versus masking. So, like, I
Mhm.
think that those are three things that we'll talk about when we get into the other parts of our episode. Of like, changing means that, like, well, you're not doing well. Changing and maturing, I feel like, can go hand in hand. Like, if
Yeah.
you think about the relationships that you had with people from our younger years, to if you were to have a relationship with those people now, would it be the same? And I would say no, because a lot of us have matured. A lot of us have gone through life happenings, and a lot of us can use perspective to understand each other better. Where
Mhm.
when we're younger, like you weren't old and wise like we are now.
Right.
Um, but then the difference is masking. Like if you're expecting someone to change quickly, it may sometimes may look like change, but it's them just covering up to the fit the narrative that you want them to be. Right? Is that what masking kind of means to you?
Yeah. Or I feel like with masking is, like, maybe maybe we're masking from the time that we're kids, right? Like there's like our true self and then we have these learned behaviors that are like, "Oh, you're too loud, you're too much, you're too quiet, too whatever." And so you start masking these different behaviors to be more palatable to people. And I also think like maybe change is either not super deep, like I started drinking water in the morning, that's a healthy change, or whatever. Versus or it could be like a negative, like, "Oh, you've changed, like, a different or less desirable
Yeah.
behavior or identity," versus maturing is, like, thought of in, like, a very positive way. "Oh, they matured. Oh, they grew out of that. Oh, they became something else," but in a good light, I guess I would say.
Yeah. I see that. Well, and then there's external and internal change. Like
Mhm.
external is life. Life happens to you, so you're forced to change. Changes are made for you, and the way that you react or adapt to those things change who you are or how you approach things like that. And then internal growth is the actual work that it takes to make change
Mhm.
from reflection and being vulnerable.
Mhm. Doing some soul searching. Having
Yeah.
your tarot cards read or a palm reading. Just kidding.
Or taking personality tests. We all know I'm all about that. I almost called myself Miss Green. We all
Oh my
know
gosh,
I'm about that.
Cole just took a bunch of personality tests and then he made me read them all. He's like, "What do you think? What do you think?" One of his
It's so
celebrity
helpful.
one of his celebrity twin personalities is Leslie Nope.
Oh my
So
gosh.
funny.
I learned some perspectives today, but we're going to talk about change in two different ways today. And one is change within ourselves, but then our perspective of others changing. So I
Mhm.
think I think the conversations that we have coming will kind of bounce between the two. And I think
Mhm.
I'm hoping that's where it's going to make conversations interesting. Because when we talk about,
Yeah.
like, we're going to have change perspective a lot. So I think that change depends on a lot of things, but I think that only real change happens when you genuinely want to change. And so I'm speaking of this for like your own perspective of yourself, but I think that it takes short answer, I think that people can change. Long answer, I don't think that people can change overnight. I don't think that change is something that is, yep, you can change, you can wake up one day and something be different. Like, I think that you have to, one, be self aware of the change that needs to happen. I think that it takes a lot of work and could take a long time. I think that change has to do with who you surround yourself with. Like, I think change is really hard within a family dynamic because Sasha, see me as someone already. And so if I try making these changes, I think we've actually talked about this before in one of our previous
Mhm.
episodes of like, it's really hard to grow within people that are not either growing with you or that like see you as a certain way.
Mhm.
Um, I think that you and I foster a lot of like benefits and change because we're not in each other's lives daily.
Mhm.
And so like we get to experience that growth and support that growth because we're not holding each other accountable to like one person that we're supposed to be.
Yeah,
But
but
I think,
I sometimes, like, you have grown and changed in ways that I don't get to keep up with. Like, when you started going back to church and,
yeah,
like, you didn't tell me for so long, and then you were like, "Oh, yeah, and by the way, we've been going back to church," and I was just like, "Oh, oh." But, like, and so that is, like, with a long distance relationship, like, hard to be like, "And when do I tell," like, like, I imagine you being like, "Okay, I went 1 time. Okay, now I've been 3 times. Like, when do
oh, yeah,
I say something?" You know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's so true because like I mean, even with your business that's growing, when you posted this video of some like big event that happened, I'm like, wait, what? And even though we're supportive of each other's changes, like things are happening and we don't get to see that like growth. But at the same time, I don't know, if you're trying to make personality changes, I feel like that's a lot harder.
Mhm.
Um and that comes with, so speaking of church, today in church, Rebecca was talking and she said something that really stuck with me, and it was all about like your coping skills that you've developed as like a child and how that might have come, like people pleasing is a coping skill, setting boundaries, not asking for help, like all of these things, these all came from her, but like they're good examples of like these coping skills that you've developed. And when you want to drop those coping skills, like people don't like it.
Mhm.
If you're a people pleaser and you stop pleasing people, people don't like that change. And so when you're surrounded with people that don't like it, making those changes is hard.
Mhm.
And for me personally, so here's my opposite lens. I had a situation where, well, I've had this situation a few times. When I had these two girls, we were all pregnant at the same time. I loved our friendship. We're all three of us are so different from each other, and I loved it. I love those type of relationships. But I always like they would always come to me with like we were more like a venting party. Like we would come together and like talk about things, and it was not like bore down. It was just like a way of showing like, yes, I'm going through that, but like in a different way, kind of thing. And I
Mhm.
always come out and I speak and I like give advice and like that's just me. And one of them is not very vocal. And so I just always felt like I was like stomping, you know? And so then I had this like identity crisis of like I talk too much. I'm too loud. I like need to hold back and you know, I don't know. And then eventually I brought it up to her and I was like, I'm really like, well, because when I'm quiet, people think something's wrong with me. And so I like asked her, or she asked me what was wrong. And I said, I just feel like I talk too much, or I feel like I'm like always doing too much. Anyways, she was like, Sierra, I like that about you. Like, I appreciate, like, I come to you and bring up these things because I know what type of response I'm getting from you. And so I like went through this phase of like wanting to like make myself quieter and wanting
Mhm.
to make these changes. And it was such like an internal battle. And then again, I did this like job interview a couple years ago, and I didn't get the job. I'm very blessed and glad that I didn't get the job. But my the person I interviewed with opened up the opportunity to be like, let's reflect on your interview. Let me tell you how it goes, just so like you can be prepared for the next time that you want to like do something like that. And I loved that opportunity. I love feedback. I love reflection. And one of the things this person told me was that I need to be careful not to take over a room. And I took that so personally. Like it hurt
I
me
would
to my
too.
soul because then
Yeah.
like I felt like that was more of like a personality attack and not a professional attack.
Right.
And Um, and it like ate me for a long time. And I would like, I don't know, it was pain. Like, I don't say that I like talk. I never really talk unless I'm confident. Like, I don't like speaking in public anyways, but when I like feel good about something, like I can talk about it. And so
Mhm.
teaching is something I'm very passionate about. And I feel like and even if I don't know the answer, I want to bring things up so that like questions could be like resolved. Anyways, um, that was like a personality attack. And it was so uncomfortable trying to change, but like the reflection and the amount of like vulnerability to have within myself to like want to make those changes, it's not easy work. So if
Mhm.
someone like wants to change, I don't believe that they can't. I just think that it's not easy work. And so if you are wanting to do the path of making changes on yourself, like you one have to surround yourself with people that support it, and two have to like put in work. So anyways, I brought that up with said person and they feel terrible about it. And they had only known me for like 8 months at the time, and then now we're going on like 3 years, and they were like, "Can I retract what I said?" Like, and I feel bad that I brought it up to them because now they feel bad that they ever made me feel that way. And so anyways, long story short, if you don't like how loud I am, that's something that won't change.
And I was gonna say, I remember all of this going down and the like dichotomy of how this one person felt about you professionally versus you saying how you felt so accepted in like CrossFit and like how that was like that characteristic was something that people loved about you. So I think that goes back to
Mhm.
like what we were saying of like we can't control what other people think about us. And I there's a quote somewhere I heard a
Mhm.
long time ago that's like, what you think about me is none of my business. But it's hard as a people pleaser not to be like make your whole identity around being palatable for other people. And so,
Yeah.
but I have too felt the same way sometimes of like, oh, I need to fit myself into this square. I'm going to make these personality changes about myself. Whether I have changed or not may not ever be reflected in how they feel about me. Like I could have,
Yes.
you know, become a nun in a convent and like,
Yeah.
change my entire personality and that person may still be like, "Well, that one time and she'll never change, I'm pretty sure."
Well, and I have so many feelings about this. First of all, Parks and Rec, when Leslie Knope was running for city council and
My
she
husband.
went bowling with that one guy that that hated her, and Ben was like, "Stop focusing on this one person." Like that's
Yeah.
life. Like I mean, I
Yeah.
think I felt that to my core. Of like
Yeah.
no one cannot like me, but at the same time, yes, they can. And then
Mhm.
the second thing is like this is part of the reason why like I did go out and start my other Instagram account is because CrossFit is fairly new. I'm going on 2 years now. But when I was like really getting into it and feeling good about it and stuff, like I had people on my personal account when I would post videos or something. Someone always, and this is personal account. These are family members. These are closest friends. These are friends from high school. Like these are people
Mhm.
that think that they know me now after all these seasons of life I've gone through and had the right to like comment, and no one would send encouraging stuff. No one, I mean, I'm not going to say no one, but I would say I'd get more people like critiquing or whatever than there were like people being like, oh my God, good job. And then I started this public account, and strangers are so much nicer. But it's because I don't know, I just feel like, and I was thinking about this with friendships in like adulthood and childhood, is like, what a blessing it is to make these deep connections as the person that you are now versus like having like everyone knowing your whole history and feeling like they have to hold on. Okay, this is way off topic though. Okay, it's your turn. I told you I had like a whole thing about this.
No, it's
Anyways,
great. I'm loving it. Yeah,
I know, but my ADHD is like bing, 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 bing.
she's passionate and I love it.
I'm
Yeah,
passionate.
I think that I'm viewing change in a different way right now, like for me personally, because I do feel like motherhood has kind of knocked me off kilter of like what I used to. And I had a whole epiphany the other day, like looking in the mirror, putting on my mascara of like, oh, that's why this is so hard. And I think it's like clinging to this old version of me and having this new version of me and trying to make them both fit into one person. And it's really hard. And I don't have the answer. I don't know what that looks like if I have like I know I have changed, but I don't know that the base of me has changed. Like I think I've always been
Yeah.
in there. It's just a different expression maybe. I do know like going into motherhood I was like pretty type A perfectionist, like had a lot of control over everything. And but I also pretty quickly had to let that go for survival. But then that also makes me question of like, was I really that type A? If it was so easy for me to let it go, you know? But maybe it didn't
Yeah.
really go that easily because I do feel off kilter in motherhood of like, you know, sometimes not having the control is hard for me. So, yeah,
No,
I don't
I
really know.
feel that.
I think of it more um of like a change versus like a growth. And maybe that's just like kind of the mindset I'm in right now. Like when I think about change, I don't think of so much of like I've matured, I've grown. And that's like a lovely point of view to have, and I think that many people think about that when like people change. But I'm just thinking of just, oh, you've changed, you know, like just kind of more like neutral about it. Um,
Topical.
yeah, exactly. Like maybe
Yeah, I
not
think that
like,
like so deep. Well, and I think about that. So I feel like a lot of our listeners are also like thinking about possibly like when you say can people change, like a lot of what we've just talked about is perception. So I've learned a lot about perception is the way that you see things. Like that is your perception. But if you can change the way that you see the way that someone else sees it, that's called perspective, right?
mm-hmm,
Um and so like our perception of ourselves is different from the perspective that others have. And like we talked about that. Is that our business? Not really.
mm-hmm,
But to be a good human, I do feel, in my personal opinion, I do feel having perception or perspective of others and what they view. That's empathy. Like I think
mm-hmm,
that perspective is empathy. Um, and even if you don't empathize with them, it's making you a decent human being of understanding where someone else is coming from. And that's what I love about life is that like we all view things differently. But like
mm-hmm,
if I can understand the way that you're viewing it, it can make my understanding of you differently, but doesn't mean that I agree or hate you because of what you're thinking. It just makes me understand how you're approaching it. So then let's take that and like what is your perception on other people changing? Like,
yeah,
do you have someone in your life that is like, I can think of some people that like I'm scorned. Like, there's like, yeah, maybe they have done the work, maybe they have changed, but like, I don't, do I think that their core values, like you were saying, do their core beliefs, core values, have they changed enough to change them in a relationship that you would have with them?
I, I don't know. Because like part of me is like No, they can't change. They've always been that way, and maybe they can mask it for other people or whatever. But then I'm like, I have more empathy for myself. I'm like, girl, you can change. Like, you can be
Yeah.
whoever you want to be. And what you were saying about like empathy and stuff, I can tell where I'm coming from. My viewpoint right now is because I haven't been reading enough. Like, I am like the most enlightened version of myself. So yes, I change season to season, month to month, day to day. So change is possible. I'm not reading enough. And there was like maybe I'm just feeling a little burnt out right now, in which is funny because I thought that like you can only burn out in like your career or something like that. But I was burnt out in my career, and I found a PA, a physician's assistant online, and her whole mission was like preventing burnout. And so her whole thing was like, you have to read more. You need to read more fiction. And because there was a study that came out that showed that people who read more have more empathy, because you have to be in that other person's head, and like you're experiencing all these other things through somebody else's eyes. And so to be able to like feel that and to be there and to read, that helps you have more empathy. So long story short, I need to be reading more right now.
I'm gonna sister banter that. There's a situation that I had to be 3 different people in one situation.
Yeah.
And it tore me apart, but it's because that's how I live my life. But I don't read. So I bunk that doctor.
Well, maybe
read
you would be
sometimes.
even more empathetic if you read. So maybe you're 2026. I challenge
I don't know
you
if I
to
could
read,
handle that.
you have to read 6 books, fiction.
Empathy would
So,
cripple me.
see, I know. Maybe it'd be cathartic. Maybe you just
All
cry
right,
all the
well,
time.
maybe, but I do think that a good cry helps burnout. So maybe we
Exactly.
just gotta
See,
let those. We talked
you have
about
already
this. Like
rattled off all.
put on a sad movie and cry. You ready
All
to get
right.
into our last segment of reframing?
So once a behavior shows up, it's who they are. We should reframe it to a behavior isn't an identity. And I do feel that way because, especially like, that's what I talk to my kids about, is like, just because you did this thing, it doesn't make you that. Like we talk a lot about like good kids and bad kids. My kids have been talking a lot about that in their class. And I'm like, kids are not good or bad. They made a bad choice. So.
Yeah. I do agree with that, but I do think that behaviors show change. Like I do think that like for me personally, you can tell me all day long that you changed or that you're different, but like I need to see it. Words don't mean anything to me. I mean, they do, but
Yeah.
they don't.
Yeah.
Words of affirmation is like number 3 on my list. But I do think a singular, and especially with kids, I think a singular behavior does not mean that that's who you are. Like we all make
Right.
mistakes, right? And we grow from those mistakes. And I think that that's huge to teach. So I do agree with that. But I do think that once a behavior turns into a habit, that is who you are.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay,
Okay.
and
What's
then one
yours?
that I wanted to talk about and is if they loved me, they'd change. That's the like thing that we say. I've heard people say that. If they love me, why won't they change? Right?
Mhm.
And I think that's terrible because what like I don't know how to put this into words. I'm speechless. Isn't that weird? They shouldn't be changing for you. Real change doesn't happen for someone else. The
Yeah.
real change happens when someone is able to self reflect, identify, and want the change, right? And you can talk about this with drug addicts or any addict. They will not stop unless the change is for them. And you could talk about this with high school girls and a boy that they're not supposed to be dating. They will not say no.
And
We know
Sierra
this.
knows
They will not say
plenty
no
of those.
until the change is for them. And
Right.
so saying if they love me, they change. Like that is no, put that out of your brain. No. Like if they yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to like change that into like if you want someone to change that you're with, like they have to recognize that on your own, on their own.
I mean, I think it's like the whole
Ultimately,
corny
people are
thing of like they have to love, like they can't love anybody else till they love themselves. Like,
yes.
so we need to focus on ourselves,
Well, and
their
someone said to
selves.
me a long, long time ago that it always sticks with me that people are going to do what they want to do. Like,
Hmm.
you can think of that in relationships. You can think about that in like parenthood. Like, I mean, not necessarily with kids, but like as an adult with your own parents and stuff like that. People are going to do what they want to do
Hmm.
ultimately, and so you need to remove yourself from that and still ground yourself in who you want to be. And if your change is magnifying enough that they want to change too, that's because they want it. It's
Right.
not because they're doing it for you.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah. I'm
That
with
was so
you.
aggressive. My face was turning red. I just like,
You've been red for a while. This has been a
I know.
passionate
This is a
topic for you.
topic, man. This is
I
a
know. I
topic.
love it. I
I
love the
know. I
fire.
didn't know it was going to like be like this for me.
People do change. Sometimes slowly, sometimes loudly, sometimes quietly, and sometimes not at all. We're allowed to grow and we're allowed to let go.
Love it. Next episode, maybe I won't get so aggressive, but we're talking about mom guilt versus mom grace. Oh, this might stir up some things.
Yeah.
And how to stop apologizing for simply being human. I feel like I should apologize now, but no, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna apologize. I'm a human. But
You
we'll
are.
dive more into that next week
We
or
will.
next
So,
episode.
yes. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I certainly did. So, like us on or follow us on Instagram, TikTok, listen to us on Zencaster, Spotify, and we're behind on our YouTube, but I'll get those up today.
Watch, watch my face turn red on YouTube.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
It's gonna
All
be
right.
great.
We'll see
Thanks
you
for
later.
listening.
Bye.